Hi everyone, it's mostly Maddie and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a flip through of my creative journal. I did a poll the other day asking what everyone wanted to see next, and this was the most voted thing to see. This is where I do all of my junk journaling. I do a mix of junk journaling, scrapbooking, and just kind of whatever else I want. I call it my creative journal because it's not specifically just for junk journaling. I'm using an old Archer and Olive that I did a few years ago. It was a bullet journal that I failed miserably at, and so it's been sitting on my shelf for a couple of years. And so I thought this would be a great place to do junk journaling just because it's already like beat up and a bunch of pages got ripped out of it because after I failed at the bullet journal, I ripped a bunch of pages out. The downside to this is the pages are really thick. So this is like 180 GSM, I want to say. And the last junk journal I did was a like term, and that was, I think, like 80 something GSM. So the pages were a lot thinner. It was a lot easier. The nice thing is it holds a lot of mediums really well. I can do watercoloring, markers, fountain pens, anything in here, and it's not going to bleed through. But I don't really do a lot of that in here, so it doesn't really make a big difference to me. So I think for my next one, I'm going to go back to the like term and do an A5. And this is also a bigger size. This is like a B6, which is very large. If you're new here, I talk all things journaling. And as I mentioned, this was the most voted for video on my page. So let's just get into it. For all of my junk journaling, what I like to do is at the end of every week, I kind of collect my junk from the week and then I make a spread for that week. Now this varies a lot depending on how much junk I have. So I had a couple mailers here. I went shopping at Joann. We went out to eat. So this week I had a lot, and we did this like really cool bridge tour, which is where this like sticker and this map are from. But if I have like a lot of junk from say like one weekend or one event, then I will make that its own spread. But these are kind of like what I would say are like my week recap junk journals. Now this one is a fun prompt that anybody can really do. This is the albums that raised me. I was getting ready for a Janet Jackson concert and I put this album on and it just took me back in time. And then I was thinking about all the albums that I owned and listened to around the same time as this album. And so that is what you see here. It's a collection of all the albums that I listened to in like 2000. That was like core memories for me. This is my birthday junk journal spread. So we did a lot of shopping and we went to our favorite restaurant for my birthday. Here's a picture of me. And I took this menu from the restaurant. I asked them, they said it was fine. And the rest are just kind of scraps. So where this restaurant is, after you're done eating, there's also a bar and you can like order a drink. And then they have like 4 or 5 small businesses right in the same area. It's called like City Works. And you go into each shop and you just like have your drink and you go shopping. So that's where a lot of these pieces are from, like stuff that I got when I was inside and shopping. And then I, of course, used some scrapbook paper. I really wanted this to have like a scrapbooky feel. This was the place where you buy your drinks and then like you go shopping. So I grabbed one of their menus and just like cut it out with some funky scissors. And yeah, this was a really fun spread. I loved doing this one. It's really the only like journaling I do in this journal or notebook, call it whatever you want. And I do monthly recaps. I'm a big recap person. I love numbers. I love stats. So at the end of every month, I will put how many books I read, how much time we spent outside. And then I always switch these up, and it just depends like what we have going on. So like, as I mentioned, we went to the Janet Jackson concert. We celebrated mine and my husband's birthdays, and I finished the Read Around the World journal setup. So that was like something I was really proud of and wanted to call out. And then over here is just all of my media consumed. So I do the Receiptify, which is really funny because it's a lot of my kids' music. Like we share Spotify. So usually it's not my songs on here, but I still think it'll be fun to look back on this and be like, oh yeah, they were really into that song. I just think it's like a fun way to look back on every month. And then I kind of just like talk about the media consumed, whatever, and then pictures of the books that I read or listened to. Here's another birthday spread. So you saw my like junk journal one, and this is just kind of compiled of all the birthday cards I got. So this is, I think you could do this for any birthday, any big celebration or event you have going on in your life. And I just took random scraps. Like this was from that Print Fresh mailer, and I just kind of saved scraps. And then I I use them where I can. This was part of a card and I cut it out and like reassembled it up here just because I loved that. And this one, I kept this whole card. This is for my husband and I just wanted to like not cut any of it up. So I just taped that in here and I made this all like the backdrop. I don't love to keep a ton of scraps. It's just like not, I don't like to like hoard junk. But this is like the little pouch that I will keep stuff. And then whenever I'm doing a spread like this and I need stuff like that, I just kind of have a couple like small pieces and things that I can pull from. So that's what I do. You could, of course, keep all your junk if you wanted to. I just don't have enough space really to do that. And I just don't like having all that in my house. This is a mix of junk journaling and scrapbooking. I grew up not far from Erie, Pennsylvania. And so this was somewhere that I used to go to growing up. And we had a birthday party and it was just me and my kids. And we had time to kill because I kind of left early. So we went and saw the lighthouse, which I hadn't been to in like a decade. And so, of course, I grabbed a map, which is like most of the backdrop here. Maps are my favorite thing to use for like your background when you're doing junk journaling or scrapbooking. They had a gift shop. So I got a bunch of stickers. And then these were actually from an Archer and Olive sticker sheet. And postcards are another great thing for junk journaling or scrapbooking because they're so cheap. This was like 50 or 60 cents. And I actually just taped this in and then I wrote about our day here. So it's fun because it makes it interactive. And then this is like another map that they had in the gift shop. So I just kind of taped that in as like the whole thing, just so it's like fun to look back on and see all of this. And if you follow me, you know I don't love having a lot of white space on my spreads. Like I like filling in every nook and cranny. So I've been using a lot of markers to kind of like fill in all these spaces. And I feel like it really can pull a spread together really nicely. This is another entry that anybody could do if you read a lot. Even if you don't read a lot, you could still, if you read enough. I did like Q2 favorite reads. So this was everything from the first or the second 3 months of the year. So this would be April, May, June. And then I like to indicate if it was an audiobook or not. And then I kind of just put a sentence about like why it was my favorite or like something about the book that will like remind me what it was about. Here is another like end of week junk journal spread. I didn't love this one. And so I ended up putting a ton of like extra stickers in here, which stickers and washi tape are my go-to when I'm not liking how a spread looks. I did lots of washi tape and lots of stickers. So that's how you know like, oh, she didn't not enjoy it, but she didn't like how it was looking. You can just always tell when I embellish the heck out of it. This is going to be a little bit blurred just because I'm keeping my kids' faces off of here. But this was my one son's 5th birthday. So I kept like the tissue paper we got him a cake topper, which was really cool. And it came in this was the tissue paper. So that was like a really fun background. And then I just wrote a little bit about his birthday, what we did. And then he had like a birthday crown at school that he was wearing. And then these were just little pieces from gifts that we got him, like the extra junk from the gifts, things we would have thrown away. And the wrapper from when we went to Dairy Queen that night. And then for every birthday, we do this for our kids. We like decorate the table. We put all the presents and cards and like get a fun balloon. And so I always take a picture of it just to remember what it looked like. And so that's kind of what that spread is all about. I like doing this, especially for stationery hauls. I think it's a really good way for me to come back and like remember where I got something. Because a lot of times people ask me like, oh, where'd you get that washi tape? And I can't ever remember. And so when I do spreads like this, like somebody just the other day on my TikTok asked me where this ladybug washi tape was from. And I was like, wait, I remember I got that from somewhere that I did a spread about. So I could say, oh, it was from Pip Sticks. So this is just like a fun way if you get a lot of stationery or do like a little haul. And I did this with markers because that was what the packaging, like that's like their branding. They like are really colorful and fun. So I just did that and then I wrote it with the same colors that I did here just to kind of tie it all together. This is like the most white space you'll see in a junk journal spread for me. I had a lot of fun doing this one and I bordered it with a bunch of stickers from a Bando sticker sheet and I just wrote a bunch of random facts about me. I like wanted to make this as a TikTok video, but I realized you would just basically be watching me write, which I think is just kind of boring. So I actually never have shared this. So you can feel free to pause and read if you want to learn random facts about me. Isn't like a real spread, but I did this for when I was making a video for when I hit 50,000 followers on TikTok. I used this as like the background for that video. So this is kind of just like a random page. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is like the most junk I've ever used on a spread. We went to Cincinnati for a weekend. And when I tell you I grabbed junk, like I grabbed stuff from everywhere we went. There was like a magazine that they had at the hotel, grabbed that. Everywhere we went, they had maps and like information, grabbed that. We always go to a bunch of restaurants and coffee shops when we're out of town. So you see like this is a coffee sleeve. This was from another coffee. And then like some stationery shopping. I pulled the sticker off of the bag that it came in. And again, you can see the maps are all what I use for the background. And then, of course, I did like a little recap here from one of the hotels that we stayed at. This was a really fun one to put together. And then this is like just from one of the restaurants we went. And I just thought it would be fun to like put it in the little key card holder. Speaking of Cincinnati, I had mentioned that I stumbled into three, not one, not two, but three stationery shops, like stationery sticker journaling shops, without even trying, which is to me crazy, like a random city. So anyway, this was all of the like junk, and then I put in all of the washi tapes that I had bought, because if you know me, washi tape is like my one true love, and so I always have to get washi tape. So here's like the labels, so that way I can always remember. Like I had mentioned, when people ask me, it makes it really easy to come back and refer to the stuff. And then I just like put some receipts. This was from a notebook that I bought that was like wrapped around it. And then these were the bags that the stationery came in. This was just, I needed to color and like do an exercise, but not really like use my brain or think much. So I just taped down these with washi tape and then colored them in with like random markers. I did this side with the Tombow dual brush markers, and then I have the Crayola super tips. So I did this side just to kind of contrast and compare and like see the two next to each other. Oh my God, this is the first time I've ever cut. I don't know why. I just thought it would be like fun to make it a little bit like more dimensional. So my friend and I went paddleboarding on the river near our house. And I actually did like a little doodle of my paddleboard, which I thought was really fun. And it really like, the colors are just like so fun. And I really enjoyed this one. So we chatted and I just kind of wrote about our time together. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. And then you can see I did some like scrapbook papers to put the pictures behind, washi tape per usual. And I almost always use my Tombow markers because I find that I can color match them really well with all the washi tape I have. So it just works out that way. I loved this idea from Cree's digital diary, which I have her tagged here. I usually always, if I get the idea from somebody, I will write it somewhere on the page so that I can always remember to credit them, because I have made the mistake of not crediting people before, and it gives me an icky feeling. I don't ever want to take credit for something that I didn't think of. But I loved this. So it was lyrics I currently like or that resonate with me. And I just kind of put the song title, the artist, and then the lyric that I was interested in. So this was right around when Kamala Harris announced she was running, and all of the memes, I don't know if you're on that side of TikTok, but all of the Brat Summer like memes and stuff, I had to do a little journal entry to show that. Since I've been in this bigger journal, I've realized a lot of times I can't make a full spread for like one thing. So this is an example of 2 different spreads, like one per page, which is just normally not my style, but I've been trying to do that a little bit more with these bigger pages. So if you ever wonder where all of my rings are from, other than my engagement and wedding ring, they are from Ocean, and it is a company that is local to me, but they do have an online store that you can shop from if you ever are interested in that. But this has like the jewelry care, so I wanted to tape that in, and here was like my order of 2 different rings and the business card, and this washi tape just went so well with the color scheme here. And then I finally ordered a new pair of Chaco sandals that I had been eyeing up for so long. And this is like the color scheme of the sandals. And then I had this sticker, which just worked out really well. And then this came with the sandals. And so I just cut it out and put these in here as well. This is just kind of random. I was doing swatching with highlighters just to see how the pens held up against the highlighters. So that's that. And then again, this was like an end of week all the junk from that week kind of day. I received a package from Aardvark Book Club, which was really cool. And so they included some mail. And then this was like, shows like the different books that you can get from their book club for the month. So I included that. And then these are really like this was something from the mail. Same here. And then these were 2 places that we went to eat and get ice cream. And then I just added a couple of stickers in there to kind of embellish the page. This is just me playing with stencils. Again, I just wanted to create, but I didn't want to do anything super crazy. So when I do this kind of stuff, I usually just put an audiobook on and go to work. So I did both of these pages the same night, and I was using these stencils. So I was just kind of testing out how it looked with like the different markers and then with pens. So that's that. This will eventually get filled out. I always forget about it, but it's like fruit and produce from grocery shopping, and I just pull the stickers off and put them in here. And this is a collage. So I get a lot of magazines, like local, a lot of like Ohio and Cleveland magazines. And so I've been saving them, not sure what I was going to do with them. And the one night I was watching the Olympics, and I was like, oh my God, I could like collage right now while I watch the Olympics. So this is a product of me collaging. I did a whole video on this on TikTok about how I was struggling with like how to keep all of this intact, because this is really cool. They send you like a surprise trip, but it has flexibility. So within each stop you have options. So these brochures have like the different options in there. And I didn't want to lose the integrity of all of that. So I kind of I taped all of them in. It looks like this one kind of came unstuck. It definitely thickened up this notebook a lot, but like I said, I didn't want to lose the integrity of all of these, and I just think it's nice to have them in a place, but it's not taking up extra space in my house. It's just living in my journal. I mentioned before, here is another end of month highlight. So books read, time spent outside. We had more birthdays. We had 4 road trips. And then I secured 2 brand deals that I was working on this month. So I wanted to call that out. And again, with my media consumed, I am like been obsessing like everybody with Chappell Roan. So I listened to her music basically all the last 2 months. And I actually ended up just taking a picture of my reading journal and putting it in here because I didn't feel like printing each one individually. Oh, here's some more collages. I've been like really having fun with these, especially trying to kind of pick a color and then pull things from the magazines that are just that color. It's just like a really fun and creative way to use your brain when you don't really want to, write anything down. Cutting stuff is just so therapeutic to me. Okay, so this was the Lakewood Arts Festival. It's my city's art festival. And I got a bunch of business cards and some stickers and things while I was there. I got this beautiful mug, and this was the artist who did it. And then I added some scrapbook paper in here as well. And then, as I had mentioned with the coloring in, I used a yellow marker and just kind of filled it in so it looks like one really cohesive spread. Here is another end of week junk, just stuff from the mail. I got a PR package from Culture Pop, which if you haven't had Culture Pop, it's incredibly good and I would highly recommend it. And then like a kids menu that we got at a place we went out to eat. And then these are just like random scraps, as I had mentioned, that I will pull from my little pouch and just use to kind of pull a spread together, and like washi tape, of course. These were from my kids' art show at school. So they actually each had, I think, 2 pieces of art, but I just pulled 1 piece from each of them and included these in here because I'm sorry, but I'm not one of those moms who's going to hold on to every single piece of art that my kid creates. It just adds more clutter and chaos to my house. So I picked these 2 and included them in here. I think it's just a nice way to remember their artistic abilities at these ages. This is super random, but I have these like kid books that had all these inserts. And so this is just like cutouts from all of those. That's the best way I can describe that. Lost power this week, and so we were eating a lot of food out, and so these are just scraps from our different meals. I have to wrap up because my baby just woke up and he's very mad, but this was from a staycation we did, and we went to an amusement park. So all of the scraps are from one brochure that I had, And then this was the wristband they gave us. I printed out 3 pictures. I don't really love my coloring in here, but it is what it is. As you guys know, I'm all about breaking perfectionism. So I'm just letting it be. It's okay. It doesn't have to be exactly the way I wanted it to. I had 2 different concerts, and so I did one per page. So I went to Missy Elliott with my friend. I made these tickets on Canva. I actually posted a little tutorial, but they have free templates that you can use and then customize them for the concert. So I thought that was really fun. So I did that for both of those, and then just created little borders and had wristbands from each of them that I taped in. I included my favorite songs from the Hozier concert, printed out a couple of pictures, and same here, and just kind of left those as simple as possible. This is one individual spread here. I am an ambassador for Esterbrook, which they create fountain pens, and they do ink as well, but they're more focused on fountain pens. And this was all the packaging from their new collection, which is Back to the Land. And their packaging is top tier, just incredibly beautiful. Hang on, let me show you my pen. It's a new pen that I got that is with this collection. Just stunning. I love it. It's so beautiful. They make really nice pens. And so I made a spread with all of the mailing items that they sent along with the collection. This is the Funky Lake pen color, and they also sent the Funky Lake ink. They also have 2 other options available as well, if that's something you're interested in. And once again, this was an end of week junk situation here. And then I added some stickers because there was a lot of weird white space. Did this spread. I was inspired by Juliana. I will tag her. I don't know if she's on YouTube, but she is on TikTok for sure. She is an incredible journaler. She's very crafty and creative, and I just love everything that she creates. And she was inspired by a sound from a podcast where they talk about a dopamine menu, where it's things that take certain amount of time, based on the menu item. And they're just self-care items. And I just really thought that was fun. And so this is very much a scrapbook spread. And then I put my extra specials in this little envelope. I just thought that would be a fun, interactive element to include. I am trying to get rid of all these magazines, so I just cut up everything possible and created 2 different collages here. And then the last one is, I didn't actually finish this one yet. I'm still working on it. This is for my other son's 3rd birthday. So this was one of the balloons that we had when we decorated for his birthday. And then he loves these, he calls them party tutors. And so I cut one up because I got a pack of 15, so we had a ton of extras, and added those in there. I took a picture of the card that I made, which I'm glad I did because I can't find it anywhere. I wanted to include it, but I can't seem to find it, so I'm glad I took this picture. And then this was from my friend who sent him some birthday gifts. And that's where we're at right now with my junk/creative journal. I'm almost done with it. I think I have space for 18 more spreads in here. So I will be wrapping this one up very soon, and we'll be moving on to another one. Like I mentioned, I'll probably go back to the Term 1917 A5 size because I like the thinness of those pages, and I just like the size better. This is just a little too big for my liking. That's all for today. If you have any questions or want to know anything, as always, feel free to comment below and I will answer anything that I can. Bye.